This is a story about attention, memory, and headless goat hockey. Hi, I'm Cameron, and this is MinuteEarth. Wait a minute, let's go back to headless goat hockey for a second, which is a totally real sport played on horseback with a goat carcass standing in for a ball. It's known by many names throughout Central Asia, but I first encountered it as buzkashi. It's wild, and I swear it's relevant. I first learned about buzkashi in a book about mountain climbing. I was intrigued by the existence of this macabre folk sport, but I basically tucked it away in the trivia-laden file cabinet of my brain. Fast forward a week or so, when I'm reading a totally unrelated magazine article about Afghanistan, and there it was again, buzkashi. What are the odds that I would encounter another mention of this obscure thing so soon after learning about it? I mean, it's not like I was seeking it out, and at least from what I can find, buzkashi wasn't actually experiencing a surge of popularity. But to me, it seemed to be popping up everywhere. You've probably experienced the same thing. Not with buzkashi, of course, but with some other obscure term or concept that you've never heard before, and then suddenly you notice it popping up all over the place in a way that feels almost spooky. This feeling is common enough that it has a name, the frequency illusion. It also shares a name with a German terrorist group because of somebody's experience learning about the group and then encountering it again and again in quick succession. Scientists don't understand the exact mechanism behind this illusion, but they do have some ideas about why it happens, based on what we know about how our brains work. You know, the usual suspects. Think about all of the noise you're exposed to at any given time. Your brain is constantly flagging important information out of that and filtering the rest. When it comes to new information, your brain basically has to guess whether something is potentially important or not, based on all sorts of clues, and stuff that it guesses might be worth holding on to get filed into your memory. It'll often take us a while to stumble back across that same information, but every so often it pops up again in quick succession. And since patterns can be important, I mean, heck, our brains probably evolved to notice patterns to help us avoid the poison berries or whatever. Our pattern-seeking brains take notice and think this thing must be everywhere. But most of the time, especially in our modern noise-packed lives, the second exposure is just a coincidence. And what really made all this click for me was when I recently came across buzkashi a third time without looking for it. This time in a movie. And get this, it was in a movie I'd seen before. Multiple times, actually. And for whatever reason, my brain had just never flagged buzkashi as worth holding on to until that one exposure in that one particular book. But once it did, I was primed to recognize it everywhere. The buzkashi effect, as I've just now decided I'm going to call it, does more than just weird us out. One study found that doctors who saw more than one instance of a rare disease were way more likely to misdiagnose new patients with that disease in the future. And hearing about multiple instances of a specific crime can convince people of a crime wave, even when the data don't support it. In a world that's packed with ever more information, the buzkashi effect is only going to become more and more common. And it's likely what led me to feel like headless goat hockey was the hottest new sport, at least in my own world. You know who else leverages the frequency illusion? Advertisers. And in a world awash in a sea of screens, the best way to get people to remember a particular gadget is by strategically seeding it into their favorite shows, so it suddenly feels like it's the must-have gizmo of the season. For example, if you've got a product or a service that you want to promote to a particularly intelligent and, might I say, attractive group of people, you could sponsor a couple of videos spaced a few weeks apart on their favorite science YouTube channel, and suddenly that group of potential customers would feel as though their lives are woefully incomplete without your awesome thing. Plus, if you advertise with us, you'll be helping to support science education at a time when, I'll shoot straight with you, science education is facing some massive headwinds. So basically it's a win-win. Seriously, if you've got a cool product or service that fits well with our audience, let us know. Send me an email at minuteearth@gmail.com.